Between the ages of 7 and 13, we lived by a train track. No matter how much energy I had, when the train would start coming from the distance that I could hear it, I would be unconscious. And in a lot of ways, I think that has benefited me tremendously in hindsight, because like if I needed to go to sleep right now, I would just have to open the window and that sound would trigger it.
Sounds impact us on a very deep level, and
Huge
they can trigger
way.
us.
All right, Vayner Nation, we're continuing on this podcast live from Cannes Lions 2023. And we have a wonderful conversation brewing. I really like this format of having multiple different people from different perspectives. I'm going to let my next guest introduce his full name and what he does, and we'll get right into it, my friend.
Hey, I'm Michael Birch, and I'm the co-founder of MindSpa. MindSpa is a company that puts sound first, and tries to tell the world that sound can be more than just sound. Music can be more than just music. It can be medicine. It can heal, and that's what we've been doing for the past more than 13 years. It's been great.
So let's double click into that. Music can heal. I think for a lot of people, when I think about this audience that's listening, my gut hot take is 25-30% of the audience is going to understand that sentence, and that 70% is not, or going to say, what does that even mean? Why don't you break that part down? Because I think that's what really inspires me to have you on.
Sure. Well, naturally, I think we're all connected to music, right? So what we spotted early on is that music can affect and impact people emotionally, and could even heal kind of certain situations that modern medicine couldn't touch, right? People connect to music in a very, very special way. And we try to figure out why that is, and what properties does music have that can impact people on such a deep level. And so we went on, we did a bunch of research. We understood that, there's certain sounds that impact people positively, and there's certain sounds that impact people negatively, especially sounds of nature. Actually, just the way that your body reacts to the sounds of nature has a certain magic to it, a certain property to it. And when we started studying, analyzing, looking at the scientific studies about music, we understood that there is a lot going on within the property of the sound. And if you record it the right way, if you record the right sounds, if you add certain frequencies and you add certain technology to it, within even 20, 25 minutes, you can have a very deep impact on a person's state of mind, on the way they sleep, on their stress level. And that's what we've been studying. That's what we've been producing. We actually, went all over the world, more than 3,000 locations, extracting sound in 3D binaural from nature. So like forests, jungles, deserts, whatever have you. We brought those sounds, extracted them, created this soundtrack of Earth, and then, layered it with beautiful music and audio technology, and impacting people.
So how does I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm going to get back to the macro thesis because I think it's really profound. In the micro, what does the business actually do?
So we have an app, a mindfulness app, with 25-minute audio journeys. It's a subscription service.
Yep. How much is it?
It's $95 a year.
Okay.
Over 10 million downloads today already. So we have customers all over the world, mainly the U.S., but we've built it ourselves. We built it from scratch. We did it self-funded.
Is the U.S. a leading market because of just the size and scope of the U.S.? Is it because you purposely have marketed there, or is the U.S. audience starting to really discover this form of value from sound, or all of the above?
I think it's a little bit of everything, but there's definitely a level of awareness in that market towards mental health, towards mindfulness, and towards the impact of sound. We have a great example of why the world is catching on. It might not be there, but if 100 years ago, we do a selfie together. Our teeth might be all messed up. Nobody really knows about toothpaste.
Yep.
And I run there and say, look, I have toothpaste. Everybody's like, what is it?
Shit?
What do you do? What is this shit? Now we have the selfie culture. Everybody has white teeth. It's like the level of awareness is there. Like there's no question about it. I think there's a very similar situation today with mental health, where we're used to brush our teeth twice a day, morning and evening, but we're not used to.
Some of us. Seth's only one time a day
I'm
guy.
sorry, man.
Are you 3 Seth? Oh, God.
But we're not used to, doing the same thing with our minds. Like we're exposed to a lot of information. And you know more than anybody about how much content we're exposed to every single day. Not all of it is positive. Some of it is malicious. Some of it is kind of manipulating your subconscious mind into purchasing.
Good news. Long before we had the internet, people had information being sent to them that was positive and negative.
For sure. It's just
World
the amount.
War II was not started by the internet.
100%.
So I think to your point, positive and negative inputs into the human brain has been a consistent. To your point and a lot of people's point, I think that the volume of inputs are there, but I actually think that the volume of inputs have given people options. All three of us are from a different part of the world that has had a lot of tension for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. I think we actually have more opportunity to find positivity today than our great-great-great-grandparents. But to your point, which I think is where I want to go with this, is how new is this? Or is this actually something that's old? I think one of the things that's most interesting to me right now is that all my health and wellness friends, both mentally and physically, 80% of the shit that they get excited about and tell me about, my great-grandma Anya pushed on me. They're like, go outside and walk on the grass barefoot. I'm like, shit, Grandma Anya used to tell me that as a kid. They're like, rub this wheat on your head. I'm like, shit, Grandma, like almost, it's fascinating to me, to your point, with the health and wellness movement, which I think is profoundly awesome. A lot of things that people are like hot on and are selling in LA and New York for very, very big dollars are things that I, as a child who was born in the USSR and came to the US early in my life, I felt like the weird kid because my grandparents and my great-grandparents were pushing all these, alternative things on me that now seemingly seem to be gaining momentum, this East-West conflict. Historically, is there historical precedent for sound being medicine or healing or mental stuff?
Well, definitely in Eastern cultures and the Far East, especially sound has been used for medicine. To your point, though, and I agree, there's a lot of easy things we can do to get our minds to feel better, but I think there's a big difference with the lifestyle and how our grandparents grew up and the lifestyle of people today, right? So there's a lot of people that you never just see them go outside. They're they're stuck behind their computers, they're stuck behind their phones, and so to be able to integrate something like that into the current modern lifestyle, I think that's a big one. And there is definitely something new in terms of tech. So we're not just using sound. We've actually tested very specific frequencies. We've tested the impact of binaural beats, which is how you deliver sound to the right and left ear in slightly different frequencies. So there's some tech behind this that helps the mind absorb it a lot quicker. And one of the places, for example, that is where our app is super popular because we recorded nature. Places like Dubai, places where there is no nature, like there's no bird sounds, there's no greenery. You can't find it anywhere you go out. And so being able to bring people into that world very quickly in 3D audio, where they sort of get lost into it.
How did you even get into this? Why did this happen?
It's a lot to unpack, but we, when we met, we kind of understood that we have...
And who's we?
Myself and my co-founder, Platin as well.
Yeah.
We're both either in the entertainment, music, hospitality businesses. Those were the kind of the raw ingredients, if you will. Mm-hmm. And a few things we saw in common. There's a lot of unhappy people out there. Yeah. Money isn't a
definitely
factor.
If you're in the hospitality late night business, you learn very quickly how much money doesn't buy happiness.
Exactly right. Exactly. That's exactly what we saw, and we're both in that sphere. And then both somehow involved with music. My partner was organizing very large events with musicians, and he could always pick and choose and see the people that are doing it from the heart or people that are doing it for money.
Makes sense.
I had a small record deal as a hip hop artist as well, so I knew the impact of music. And so when we set together,
that humble brag was amazing, by the way.
No, I'm not even.
No, I'm kidding. I'm giving you love.
I'm not plugging it. I'm not plugging it. So when we got together, we're like, look, we're just seeing a lot of unhappy people.
Yes.
We're seeing, mobile phones coming up, people getting a little bit more lonely, sitting in social media. We're like, this does not end well for mental health. We have some ingredients that we love about music. We're seeing unhappy people. Let's try to figure out what can be done. Went into like a whole journey of research. We thought it was going to take a year or two. It took like over 10 years to actually come up with something that was...
That's the naivete of kids. We're going to figure this out in 2 minutes.
Well, the app industry wasn't that big. Like we didn't know we want to do an app. We just wanted to know we want to do like a program, something with sound. And then it all shaped into being what it became. So it was like...
What's the most exciting or surprising thing, a decade plus into this journey? Like... Give me the quick state of the union right now. Like, what is the biggest observation or exciting thing when you and your partner look at it? Like, where do you feel like you're making the biggest impact? What was the biggest surprise? What's like kind of the punchline or the aha at this exact second?
A couple months ago, we got an email from Rutgers University in New Jersey saying, guys, we just want to tell you we did a study with your app, They told us after the fact.
Yeah.
They used medical workers 30 days using our app. They said they've never seen anything like this. They haven't even seen it with anxiety medication like this. There was a drop in stress level of 80% across the board for participants in the study. Us being European based and then have a U.S. university do that and come out and say, look, we're going to publish this in a medical journal, was a really big aha moment.
It's cool.
From that moment, a lot of universities started hitting us up saying, look, let's do studies with ADHD. Let's do study with PTSD. Let's see what happens. But to understand that there is a big impact, but that there is, like you said yourself, there's a huge part of the world that still didn't catch on to this. Like for whom, mental health is not even a thought.
Of course.
So for us, it's, how can we reach these people in a format that they understand? Like, most apps that are in our stage that, haven't raised yet, they wouldn't do crazy stuff like we did. Like we shot a movie. We did a whole movie, like a Hollywood 1 hour 40 movie in 3D binaural beat that's out there just to bring people into the ecosystem, to explain visually and with sound where we are today, how we got here, where we're going, and how sound can have an impact on that.
Before we get out of here, I think, mental health is something that a lot of people are on a journey of trying to understand where they sit and where they don't. I think it's a challenging kind of gray for the human listening on the other side. A thing that I think is a little bit easier for a human to understand is, are they sleeping well? Right? Like that's kind of like tangible. They're like, well, I don't I only sleep 3 hours a day, or I wake up 15 times. Just in the last minute we have here today, just to make it very valuable to a lot of listeners. You mentioned it earlier. It's something I think a lot about. A lot of people know me as like, I go hard and I'm who I am. But the reality is I've never compromised on sleep, ever. Like I will sleep 10 hours a day if that's what, I listen to my body very well.
Yeah.
Like if I can go hard, great. Like this week, look, I got a lot to do. But like this Saturday, if I have to sleep 14 hours to like make up for it, like I've never thought like, not sleeping is going to make me successful. It's more while I'm awake, I need to be productive and make shit happen.
Yeah.
I think I'm very, honestly, I have a level of gratitude and even guilt on how well I sleep. I'm just very thankful. Like it's very easy for me. I go out like a light. I sleep all the way through, and I have a lot going on, and I've always thought that it was because my energy was always in a good place. Like no matter how, like I'm too detached from my professional career, so I don't have a lot of anxiety there. And then everything else I really care about only is just the health and well-being of my family. And I've been very fortunate in some ways, unfortunate in other ways. I lost most of my grandparents before I got to know them. But talk to me about what you've seen so far from the sleep thing, because I think that's a quick, real truth for a lot of people. And by the way, I sleep and have in ebbs and flows a lot with sound machines. Mm-hmm. So like it's really been very, like it's always been a real fun part. Like you give me wind, when I was a child, we lived by a train track, and literally, this is why I'm so fascinated by this. Literally between the ages of 7 and 13, we lived by a train track, and the train would run on a schedule. And when I tell you, no matter how, and I'm a high energy guy, meaning I was a very high energy kid, no matter how much energy I had, when the train would start coming from the distance and I could hear it, it was by the time the train had left, it takes a minute or two for the whole thing to happen, I would be unconscious. It was almost as if I was trained by that sound. I mean, I don't know if you see this, but I'm literally getting goosebumps right now because I'm like, it was almost as if I was trained by that sound to be like, you think about hypnosis and things.
Like a trigger.
It was a trigger. And in a lot of ways, I think that has benefited me tremendously in hindsight because, rain, wind, like if I open a window and it's windy here in Canada right now, like if I needed to go to sleep right now, I would just have to open the window and that sound would trigger it. Talk to me what you've been getting feedback-wise from like people that are using it to sleep better.
Well, 100%. Look, what you just said only proves the point. That sounds impact us on a very deep level, and they can trigger us and so on. You're lucky in terms of how you sleep. I'm also, I feel great gratitude that I can just fall asleep. But there's like 40% of the world that has an issue sleeping.
Dustin, do you sleep well or not well? Don't bullshit. Don't look for sympathy. Tell me the truth. Do you sleep well or don't? Yeah. Overall. Because you have to pee, or you just wake up a lot. Got it.
Are you like worried about what you're gonna do?
Same. You wake up a lot. Anxiety, or just
It's tough to fall asleep, tough to stay asleep.
got it.
So I'm
What about for
telling
you? Good or
I'm still sleeping.
oh, it's
Well,
right
like,
now, even while your eyes are open.
Absolutely.
percentage-wise, we get the 40% in
Yeah,
the room right now,
yeah,
exactly
right.
like I told you. So that it's a real thing.
Oh, it's a real thing.
And I think it's one of the core things that we're solving with the app. Like sleep is the big one, right? Anxiety, of course, but sleep is the big one, both in terms of the study and in terms of specifically how we recorded the sounds. Like nature, when you get lost in that
agree.
and you get it in 3D sound, like your mind is tricked to believe you're somewhere out there. It just helps you fall into sleep.
You give me a
quicker.
cricket and an owl, and I'll show you me
Right,
sleeping
right.
within 30 seconds.
Listen, you should do sound bites for VeeFriends, and then you can
We should.
and then you get it.
Parting shots, last 30 seconds. What should people know? Where can they find you? Like, take us home.
Yeah, so mindspot.com is the app. You can find it on the App Store. You can find it on the Google Store.
Spell that out quick, because you're saying
mindspa.com. Also our movie, mygiftmovie.com. The great thing is everybody has headphones, but you need headphones for this because of binaural beat, because of how the sound technology works to really take you out there. You need to listen to it in headphones.
Okay.
You can get it anywhere on the online store.
Yeah.
I think you should just give it a try. I think try to listen to it before you go to bed, and you'll be amazed how quick the reaction is. And come find us. We'll be
very cool. Everybody, thank you for listening. We'll continue this week at Cannes Lions. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.